It's early May, 1862, playing as a Confederacy here in this Let's Play of AGEOD Civil War II. I'm going to start with Virginia and then work my way west. So not a whole lot going on in Virginia in terms of being attacked. However, we're going to move on Morgantown finally. I am taking Forney, 2-star. I put Ewell, who's a 4-4-1, so 4 offense. Put him underneath Forney, so let's hope he makes his activation roll. He's a really crappy 2-star. Really, anybody who's a 2-star should have a 4 or higher on strategic value. So I'm just banking on the fact that he'll make this activation roll work. Also, too, it's not really the end of the world if it doesn't work, so figure what not, right? Put a supply train here, just I don't know how long it's going to take for me to besiege and take Morgantown. If I take Morgantown, my hope is to push here to Ohio, West Virginia, and then also open this area here. That way I can kind of seal it off and then perhaps move into Pennsylvania from there. I am moving Stuart here into Morgantown. The reason I'm doing that, it's going to take him 6 days. It's taking Forney 14 days. So my hope is he can get here, establish some sort of foothold, get us a little bit of military control. That way when Forney comes in, he doesn't have to actually fight for it. He can just come on in here and hang out. Although it's kind of a pipe dream, he's probably going to have to fight for it, but whatever. So otherwise, not a whole lot else going on there. Also, too, let me, bounce around there. The weather is very nice, so hopefully it'll stay that way. Down here, he's still hanging out down here by Fort Fisher, hasn't gone anywhere, so we're just going to kind of hang out here as well. I am going to rebuild this brig so I can put it out to try and get us some money and war supply. I'm putting these two out. They've been repaired and going to go out there and join who is it out here? Tattenhall out here in the blockade to do some blockade running to get us money and war supply. Colston, so now he's going to be the only one that I'm actually going to do a static defense of the coastal area. And it's primarily because Charleston is so important for the Confederacy. I just cannot lose this. So we're going to actually hold this area here. I don't know why he is not a division commander, but we're going to fix that right now. So I'm going to put him here at Charleston and eventually build up just a little bit of a force here, just enough to delay the enemy from taking it until such time as my rapid response force, which will be this guy, can show up to save the day. Now, I don't know why I'm moving him there. He needs the sharpshooter. Oh, gotcha. Never mind. Gotcha. So I am establishing a little bit of a defense along these swampy areas. Not to actually hold it, but just to basically delay the enemy long enough to allow my rapid response to come in. This is more of my rapid response force, which will be joined with what's here. Sorry, not what's there. Up here. So that'll be nice. As soon as that threat goes away. So that's what we have there. It's a, as you can see, it's got a 6-pounder in there, and which is kind of annoying to be quite honest. I don't want the 6-pounder, but whatever. And then a 12-pounder. So we'll see how that works. I'm still trying to figure out the whole rapid response thing, but yeah. Here's what we've got in Louisiana, down in New Orleans. I think this is a 12-pounder, yep, and a 6-pounder. They're hanging out inside the fort currently. I don't know if that's really the best place for them. Probably what I'll do is, if I get a little bit larger of a force, I'll just have a force here in the swamp as well, maybe with the 6-pounder, just to kind of hold it down. I want them outside, I don't want them inside. And what I need to do is, okay, so get 6-pounder, 6-pounder. So I want my 6-pounders on the outside, that way they can't just land unopposed. They have to actually fight for it. I need to put some infantry here with these guys, so that'll be something I'll be doing here pretty soon. But a lot of my resources actually are being spent up here. So here's what happened is, let's see, here's your battle against Grant. So we lost 4,000, he lost 1,900, so he definitely came out on top in terms of the numbers lost. But we won the battle because we kind of forced him back. Now this was at the blockade, and as you can see, it was a couple rounds. First round we had our 3-3 guy, Cheatham. going up all by himself against Grant, Jefferson C. Davis, who's pathetic, and Pratt. And it looks like we got some pretty significant battery fire from artillery. So we lost 84 hits. He only lost 46. And we lost 546 cohesion out of 1432. And he lost 285 cohesion. But then round 2, he suffered a significantly larger number of cohesion hits. Although for some reason we didn't go after Grant. I don't know why we didn't. But man, we really lost a lot of cohesion, and we lost a lot of hits. So the only thing I can think of, the reason we won this battle, was that he was marching out here, was fatigued and had to fall back. That's the only thing I can think of, because we got our butts kicked. But somehow we still won. So again, the result was we lost 4,000. He lost 1961. But we did hold the ground. I think probably because we had so much artillery here. Trench effectiveness, 89%. So that's good. Probably because we were inside the fort, which helped. So it's hard for me to figure out here why he fell back. I couldn't tell you. He should have won that battle, but anyways. So now what I'm doing, I'm going to rotate things around a little bit. I'm moving my core over here to Bowling Green. I'm moving my army up here just for now. What I ultimately like to do is have 2 corps, one here, and an army here. I'm not altogether comfortable giving up Munfordville, but just to be honest, I don't have the forces right now to hold here and hold Munfordville, especially against Grant, who's only going to get stronger. So what I'm doing here is I've got the better generals right now with the Army of Mississippi. I'm moving here for now, and then probably moving back to Bowling Green once I get everything situated. So I like having Johnston here. I like having Forrest here facing off with Grant. I like having my artillery under Huger facing off with Grant. So that's why I'm going to put everything in here. I'm not going to put it in the fort because, again, I don't want to give him any reason to bypass the fort or besiege it. So I'm putting my army here, have my corps here, and hopefully the corps will come to the aid of my army if they are attacked. But so right now it's not the perfect situation. It's kind of a stopgap until I can get things situated. I'm putting my ships here in port just to recover ammunition and supply, so supply mainly, and then I put them back here again to just kind of bottle this up, make sure he can't bring a transport fleet of troops down to, say, Fort Henry, Fort Donelson, or the Mississippi. I am moving the Army of Tennessee forward on this 409 powered unit. Again, it's kind of extending my supply line between St. Louis and forward. As you can see, St. Louis is a supply depot, so is St. Louis, and so forth. As you can see, the terrain is all prairies and clear, which is really good for an army. Now it is a bit muddy, so that's problematic for our army. As you can see, it's all mud here. It's early May, so a lot of rain. However, here's my thought process. I get behind this river here. That's a good defensive spot. Flush him out of there. I'm moving him up, flush him out. Kind of establish this river as my defensive line. Probably move my army up to here and leave a force here. And then find a way to supply them each turn. Now I do have my corps coming up behind under Polk, so my thought process is if I move my army forward, at least I have Polk here kind of somewhat covering my rear and my supply line. Now I have no idea what is here. However, if it was a big army with the amount of cavalry I have in this division, cavalry here, and then what I have in cavalry, if this was a sizable force, I'd probably know it. So unless he's doing unless he's playing one of his detection cards, which is possible, although improbable. So I'm hedging my bets there. So I'm trying to get military control here. I'm moving cavalry here and here to try and get military control there of the rail lines. And I'm actually besieging was it Vincennes with Shelby for really two reasons. One, hopefully I can take it, because then I'm going to cut off his supply line down to Grant. He'll have the river, obviously, but this is one less way he can get supply. But two, maybe it'll force him to pull back, and then that'll allow me to solidify my defense further. So I figure either way works, right? I am pushing with McCulloch towards Bloomington, and it looks like he's fallen back. I'm just going to follow the rail line, so I'm actually bringing McCulloch up here to besiege it. Again, for two reasons. One, the supply here is 75 supplies and recruit per turn. It cuts him off from Kansas and the rest of Missouri. And also gives me a nice little move in here on this another 75 supply and 1 recruit. So lots of advantages there. Don't have a whole lot left in Springfield because I feel like it's somewhat secure. So I got 368 power and a supply wagon. I did take this fort, so I'm going to burn it, as you can see. I'm not sure what Lion has. If anything, he's pushing down, it looks like, on these supply depots, but I'm not too worried because once I burn this fort, I can go take these out as well, and that'll cut him off from any sort of supply. And I think that'll alleviate whatever threat he may be putting on my flank here. And then finally, over in the far west, not a whole lot going on. We've got cavalry here, just doing military control, whatnot. Moving Baylor on western New Mexico now that he's resupplied on ammo and supply. And I think with that, that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot else to look at in terms of the comments. We do have partisans here, so I got these guys. These guys are always cool because like one turn, they can destroy rail and depots and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to move them over to Salem because I figure they're going to be more effective over on that side of things. I don't believe there's really much of anything else that we didn't cover that's in here, so... Bless me. So Stockade did some bombardments of Grant as well when he attacked. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm building. More artillery. The nice thing with these guys right here is they actually have 12 pounders in them. So my Tennessee and Kentucky brigades that I'm building have 12 pounders built into those brigades. So it's pretty solid for defense. I decided to build another ironclad, which are very expensive and take 6 months to build. But I'm finding that holding on to the river with these ironclads is very, very important. I felt like the expense was worth it. Now, I need to put more money into line infantry. That was stupid of me. I've got 298 elements on the field that are recovering right now, and I have none from them to pull from. So I need to go put some more in next turn. That was an oversight by me. A little bit of cavalry that needs some more, but I'm not too worried about that. And we are good on artillery. So I don't have any more 20 pounders, I don't believe, that are being built. Building a little bit more in Richmond, trying to build up my capital a little bit, just in case he decides to land there. And then I didn't really play any cards, although I certainly could. I'm running low on money, though. And as you can see, I don't have more cards here to play on that. Finally, as far as inflation, I am hurting on the inflation. It's 8%. I'm going to start having to be a little bit more careful on that, make sure it doesn't go any higher. And with that, let's do the turn. Boo, no, we finally lost Golden City. We were getting a bunch of free money. It's alright. We got like, 3 turns out of that? So it's 30,000 cash. So Grant is now, what is he doing? Is he still hanging out there? Uh-oh. There's a river boats going there. I had to dock my ships so they could recover supply and ammo. once I get Lee, I'm going to look to do an offensive in Virginia, hopefully. Which is kind of silly considering he has a boatload of troops in DC. But I will not be deterred. Good, okay, looks like he's pulling back over there where my army of Tennessee was moving in. So McCulloch did not make his activation roll, which is not good. He's still besieging that city. Golden City or whatever it's called. Oh, good. Good. So I caught him. So he's trying to get away, but I caught him. Not happy with my losses, but how many rounds? Just 1 hour of battle. Although my generals performed well, looks like. Good. I've got this badass Claiborne who's awesome. It looks like he's just Buford, so I wonder if that's Buford, the cavalry commander. I'm not sure if it's the same guy. I think he was falling back anyway, so that's probably why the battle ended pretty quickly. He might be coming up to New Orleans. That's going to create some problems. Stalemate at Morgantown. Okay. So he's got 5,500 troops there. Who is this guy? Morrill and Tyler. 311s. Okay. I got Ewell. We gotta cross the river though. That's the important thing. So resupply, besiege, and let's see what we can do. Okay. So before we do the moves, let's just assess the situation here. We've got Army of Mississippi, which I brought Hardy down because I've got a lot of volunteers here. Hoping he can add a little bit of training to them while we hang out. I'll figure that out and sort it all out. So they're going to face off with Grant. The goal here is just to kind of hold Grant in place while my army of the Tennessee kind of moves around the flank. So he is not besieging them even though he has artillery. Why is he not besieging them? Huh. Okay. That's fine. I want to hold this river here. This is going to be my defensive line. I'm going to sort that out. Probably bring my corps over. I want to take Springfield. So as you can see up here, Chicago and Springfield are both strategic locations and they're wide open for me if I can push forward enough to hold down over here. So we'll look at that. Let's see what we can do there. How are we doing over here? Okay, so now we're besieging here. Very good. Okay. Not sure what he's doing. Is that just... is he just wandering through? I don't know. Okay, 492. That could be a little bit of a problem, which is fine. I'm not too worried about losing Jefferson City as long as I can get here, because then I'll be in a pretty good defensive situation. Let's go over here. Morgantown. Alright, so let's put him in with him for now. Put him on the defensive. Let him recover his cohesion. Ow, he got hit pretty hard. Okay, and put him in with that. I really feel like I need to send more reinforcements over there to ensure that he takes Morgantown. If I'm going to assault it, I need to take it. Okay, so there's that. Wow, look at that. That's just crazy. Alright. And then down at New Orleans, it looks like, let's see here, this is Miles. Yeah, he's got a division in there, so that's going to be a problem. I only got his volunteers in here. Okay, well at least I know he's coming, so that'll give me an opportunity to react. And then up here, he landed troops behind me, an army of regulars. So is Humboldt? So Humboldt is not a supply depot, so I'm not too worried about that because I can react pretty quickly to this. I wonder if he intended to drop more and just couldn't get more down there. I don't know, but I did not like having to put Buchanan in there, so we'll put him there. Okay, so let me, I just want to show you here real quick the overall. So we have lost 31,000 troops, 31,500, and they've lost 49,200. We've captured 15,400 prisoners, so I don't know how many prisoners we've lost. It doesn't show you. We're getting 57 VPs a turn. He's getting 47, so we're still ahead in the VP count. His morale is down to 84. Ours is 123, as you can see, 123. The foreign intervention is pretty low. Quite honestly, foreign intervention is pretty hard to get. Like by the time you get it, it's like it doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. And then as you can see here, he's gained 2,067 and we've gained 2,918. So we're winning in the VP count currently. And his combat power, he does have 126% greater land combat power than we do. And he has 530% better combat power than we do in the Navy. Which, you know, is to be expected because we don't really have much of a Navy. So, alright, let me do some moves here and I will be back. Let's begin from the central theater, that way we can expedite things. I don't anticipate this taking more than a few minutes to review before we proceed with the next turn. As you can see, we got St. Louis here. I've decided to do this. I'm going to pull my troops back to Kinsale, Illinois, and Salem. So I'm bringing the army of the Tennessee back to Salem, or kind of in front of Salem, so I have this nice little river in front of me. I'm going to use Salem as my supply depot, as you can see here. I'm pulling Polk. I'm going to put him here as a core. That way he can support the Army of the Tennessee in the event that the Army of the Tennessee is attacked. So I'm hoping like moving to the Sound of Guns will provide support there. I may end up putting my core actually right here. That way I've got a nice little defensive line here between the rivers. But for now I'm going to bring him to Salem, at least for this turn. I am, though, sending, what's his name, Hoke, back to St. Louis, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get military control here of this rail line, and I'm going to use St. Louis up to Springfield. So my hope is I can take Springfield. It is a strategic location, but more important than that, I believe it's one of the recruitment hubs for Illinois. So if I take that out, my hope is it'll limit, if not eliminate, the ability of the Union to recruit troops out of Illinois. So that's one reason. Another reason, too, is it just kind of gives me a little bit better control over the rail system. I can use this to kind of use cavalry to go up and twist up the rail. I do have McCulloch here. He is besieging Bloomington, Missouri. And hopefully we can take it. I got red before he gets up there. If he does move north, then I'm going to move, what's his face, Winder up to support. I'm using my cavalry to get military control of the rail line to better supply my troops up here, even though they do have a supply wagon. Not a whole lot going on in here. I'm just burning forts and whatnot. So burn this one, moving him back, mainly because he's almost out of ammo, so I got to get more ammo before I can proceed further. And we have 24 ammo here currently, so I'm going to put him there, get more ammo, and then push back. He is making a move on my flank over here. I've got a considerable amount of cavalry right here. So I need to resupply and re-ammo though before I press forward, so I'm going to wait to do that. I'm going to move Churchill over here, rally up with my troops, and then actually I think what's my I'm trying to figure out is my ammo and supply. So they should be good. Why did I decide to move Churchill here? I want that force going forward. Let's leave them two behind and put him forward. I'm going to rally him up with his general, and then I'm going to push forward and solidify the west. Baylor's still moving, taking forever. But, geez, 31 days, good lord, what's the weather like? That's why, yeah, mud. It's just really hard to get over here, as you can tell. I've been trying to get over there for, what, half a year now? Pretty frustrating. I almost have complete military control of these areas, and then I'll move them back. He's back up, so let's get him back. Military control. Now, down here in New Orleans, it looks like he's making a push. So I am bringing forces up. I'm bringing these up. I have my sharpshooters that are not coming up. That's kind of weird. They're going to come up too. And then, so that's here. And then I am moving my fast mover. Walker over there as well. It's going to take him some time though. It's going to take a couple turns. And then I left this here for this little small force. Now granted he may bring more, but right now I'm more worried about New Orleans. That's more valuable to me. Now what I do have is I put these guys in my redoubt. So I've got a 256 force in here with several artillery. So my hope is I can just hold out here long enough for my forces to rally up, and then I'll go and hit them. That's the goal, at least. Alright, finally in Virginia, before we proceed with the turn, he turned out to be a little bit stronger here than I anticipated. I do have a 103, although it's a little bit more stronger, but it only has 2,600 troops there. And then Stuart, which has got another 1,800 cavalry. So I'm going to pull back. I'm going to reassess. I may end up putting over here, pushing up here, taking this rail system, creating havoc. Again, I got to be careful though, because it's got this 9,000 Bower force, and who knows when he's gonna attack me. But I did move in here, and we're just gonna go around and tear up the rail line as long as he lets me. Here's what I have in Alexandria: Magruder, D.H. Hill, B, and Alexander as my artillerist. And then I have up here my Army of the Potomac, and then finally Jackson with Stuart and Smith, and I'm moving Ewell back along with Stuart just to resupply, and then we'll just keep pushing up around there. So that's about it. Let's see if anything exciting happened here. That's right. So this here, we won, not surprise. What I did find interesting though is what his composition was. So he's got a lot of infantry here. And it's hard to say exactly how powerful this infantry division is, but it looks like it's got some oomph to it, so I'm gonna have to watch out. Alright, and then, yeah, so we lost a fair amount of troops, but we seized the day. Ewell performed very well, but now unfortunately I'm just going to pull back because he's got more troops there than I anticipated. The CSS Alabama is launched. That's right, it's exciting. Not quite sure how to use it, but cool. Alright. I don't think there's any events that happened. McLaws took the field, by the way, so I'm moving him back to, he's going to hold Fredericksburg. And I'll explain here. The reason holding Fredericksburg is he's a slow mover. However, he's got 3 defense, so it seems to me it makes sense. 3 defense is pretty impressive. Usually, again, an average commander has 1 defense. He's got 3. So it seems to me very important junction to hold is Fredericksburg, so I'm going to have him there as like my main secondary defense. Beyond that, not a whole lot else going on. Yep, not a whole lot else going on. All right, so we can our entrenchment now can be a maximum of 5, which is really good for us. We've been stuck at 4 for quite some time. For example, here in Winchester, we've been stuck at 4. Now we can get to 5 and so forth. That's going to go a long way for us in this game because we want them to attack us. We don't want to have to attack them. In some ways, I like him bottling all his troops up in DC like this. But as I'm finding playing my buddy in multiplayer, the Union is a boatload of resources. As you can see, 8,000. There's 666 here. They can just bring the blue tide. And so I feel like if you're as the Confederacy just kind of sitting back in your entrenchment waiting to be attacked, it just doesn't bode well because there's just so many different ways the Union can hit you, whether it's by ocean or through flanking maneuvers or whatnot. He could leave a big enough force here, put me in check, and then go down up here and flank me at Richmond or go up around. And there's not a whole lot I can do about it except maybe pull back. So I'm hoping I can get through the winter. The way things are, we'll see. We still have that gold mine, by the way, which is crazy. I think we've gotten like 30 or 40,000 of that by now. Definitely paid for the partisan that we used to take it, and many more. Which, as you can see, I'm consistently low on cash. All right, so it looks like we either took Bloomington or at least took out one of the militia there. I think we took it though. And Bloomington's going to be my rear, so to speak. So if I can hold Bloomington, that's going to effectively not only cover my rear, but split the Union off from Kansas and the rest of Missouri. Not to mention it's cushioned between 2 rivers, which is very nice, so it's easier to defend. And finally, it has one of those supply resources where it gives you 75 supply and 1 recruit every turn. I just have to be careful not to spread my forces too far out for fear of getting whacked. So Grant's moving back. I'm wondering if having Shelby over there spooked him. By the way, he had landed some troops down there and then was pulling out, or was at least appeared like he was going to be attacking. I pulled a few resources off the line that I knew I wouldn't need for the next couple turns to go deal with that. But it looks like he is now pulling out. Alright, so Grant's pulling back. By the way, it was sorry. I pulled Shelby back because it didn't look like he was going to take that city. Plus, there was other ways for Grant to get resupplied that I didn't really think about, specifically by the river. So I was like, it pulled him back. It's beautiful. So it was just as long as it was enough to pull him back, I'm good with that. Ooh, look at that. Good thing I got Shelby out of there. Alright, so now he's... I don't know where he's going. But perhaps I can get Springfield while he's doing his thing. Confederate defeat. It's just some cavalry. Okay. Lost everybody? Really? Battle of Mexico, Missouri. Alright, so before we conclude this video, let's assess here. Looks like that's probably Grant, I'm guessing, since it's a 3-star. So he did pull back. Okay, that's good. So it looks like that victory we achieved here was actually a pretty big deal because it stemmed the invasion of Kentucky. I wonder if he's going to come down here to Munfordville and then re-attack. Would make more sense because he'd have the rail line to do that by. Here's my other corps now, and under Bowlingville. I'm gonna have to sort things out a little bit more there. He must not have made his activation roll because he didn't move. Oh well, he's got 1 day, so maybe it just takes forever. Okay, I want to get him back on the rail line that way he can move quickly. I'm trying to get my military control here so I can move quickly to Springfield. Although, as you can see, he's already, looks like, attempting to reinforce. It looks like we did take Bloomington. Excellent. So again, we get this river here and a river here. So it's a good defensive area to hold. And then, although he's got me split, that's a good move on his part. I'm going to have to deal with that. Amount of... Let's see, how much supply do I have? I got a good enough supply. I can hold out 3 turns easily. So we're gonna combine a force here and swoop him out of the way. He can't hold on forever either, and it does not look like he has a wagon train unlike us. So I think I'll hold pat here and then bring a force over to swoop him out of the way. Anything else exciting before we conclude? He didn't get out of there like I wanted him to. That's awkward. He's still got a boatload of troops here. Alright. And what's going on down in New Orleans? Did he push up? He has not pushed up yet. Interesting. He's got a division, a field hospital, and a pack train. So you gotta imagine he's gonna want to land here. I wonder if he missed his activation roll or something. Although he still would have moved. It just would have been a huge penalty, so I don't know what that's all about. But alright, well, let me look over things here. Again, make some moves. He's got this guy. He's got General Patterson, or Halleck, which, this is weird. It's got to be a bug in the game, but they just like randomly move along. I don't know how you can do that through enemy territory without getting shot at. But I gotta move these guys too. I forgot I built them here. Ooh, that's bad. Maybe I could go like chase him. Like attack. Nah. I don't know what's going on there. Alright, let me look at things over. Thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, if you found this even remotely interesting, please like the video. That way other people can find the game and perhaps try their hand at it. So, thanks.